this trip, we've looked at some of the history of your experience in New York, and it definitely sounds like stories that I've heard from other elders in the area as well. So then we move forward to today, and we have this book coming out that's going to be released very soon. And we have this chapter that you have written, and where you are focused on two aspects of the physical body. You are focused on our mouths, and you have focused on women's breasts. So what is it that, out of all of the curiosities and in-depth study, because as you said, your elder told you, you would never be bored. What is it about the mouth, and what is it about women's breasts that inspired
Well,
you to write this and research this?
right. Well, again, I continue to study, when I say Ifa, very expansive in that, not just what some people think of as, Ifa divination, but Ifa encompassing, Orisha, herbs, art, music, all of that. So I want to be clear on that she's so Ifa centric. And it's like, when I say Ifa, I'm speaking of all of those things. And so in studying Ifa, there are different poems that, especially as a diviner, that you try to learn and memorize. And as I was going and studying Okanran Meiji, one of the containers of wisdom of the Ifa divination system, I came across these wonderful poems. One was dealing with breast, the other was dealing with mouth. And not too long after that, I was asked by the Obatala Egbe Society in New York to be part of they were doing a conference. And I think the name of the conference was Divine Organs of Communication. And they had asked me to be part of this because they wanted a female diviner that utilized Ifa tools. So, I started thinking about all of those things, and it was like, oh, this is a great opportunity to talk about these wonderful essays that deal with the mouth and deal with the breast, because they are forms of communication. And I speak about that in the chapter that I wrote on, mouth and breast, that, how do we utilize mouth. We don't even many people don't even realize that it's a divinity. Okay, it's an Orisha in and of itself. And with it, we're able to do all of these wondrous things. So a couple of the poems that I used speaks about the mouth being, a divinity, and that we were able to learn from it and we're able to manifest with it. But at the same time, in Okanran Meiji, it also talks about female breasts, which we would never think of as being, another form of divination. So much so that it's likened to Ifa. Well, that got my interest, okay? Because as a female, I'm always interested in things that kind of point to the feminine aspects of Ifa. And Ifa, I have come to learn, is very balanced. Some of the people that may be talking about Ifa may tend to talk about things that are more male oriented, because those are more of the stories that are told. So I think for me as a female, that created a niche for me, but there are wonderful stories that involve females too. And I wanted to be, kind of putting them out there and saying, well, this is there too. And so with that, I began to learn, well, why would Ifa liken a female breast to Ifa? And it goes on to say that Balaba Laba, Okan, divine for breast, who was the Awo breast, divine for breast. And I was like, well, gee, that says something to me right there that, well, breasts we typically feel are something that belongs to the divine feminine. And here we have in an Odu that's speaking of an Awo who is female, breast, that's divining for breast. And it tells this wonderful story about how breast came and decided or was told by Ifa that yes, she should come to this realm and she should make her home on the chest of a female. And we learn from that poem that everything that the Yoruba prize, everything that is the best of a human being is learned at the breast of a woman. And like Ifa, the nipple of the woman, areola, that area that feeds the child has 16 holes at least, just like the 16 most important Odu of Ifa. And it just went on, and you had all of these similarities that, not only did you learn there that the female breast is capable of changing the milk just by way of picking up from the child that, oh, I have a cold or I have this and something else is needed. Change the milk, okay? And to give the child what is needed to make the child better and stuff. So all of these things the breast is able to do. And so the original author that I read about that poem was from Salagbade Pupola. And it was life-changing. I was just like, oh boy, I gotta find a place to put that. But as I again began to learn and grow and look at the world from a political perspective, I also saw the importance of, two of we think of a lot of existential threats, right, to our quote unquote world. Two of the things being war and starvation. And so again, those two things, the mouth, you know, uh, uh, being utilized in a way that, uh, no, I'm not going to fight anymore. And Ifa told us 2,000 years ago, more than 2,000 years, that, when you feed people, uh, they tend not to fight. And science substantiates that there's a relationship actually um, that goes back and forth between war and starvation. And that's, if I'm not eating and I don't have enough food to eat, that can make me go to war and cross borders and such that also, can result in war. On the same token, when